The most powerful man on earth is standing outside a bedroom door. Inside, his best friend is sleeping. In 5 minutes, that friend will be dead, strangled. No trial, no warning, no goodbye. This is Suleiman the Magnificent, ruler of the Ottoman Empire in 1536. The friend, Pargali Ibrahim, former slave turned Grand Vizier, the most powerful man in the empire after Suleiman himself. They grew up together, built an empire together, trusted each other with everything, until they didn't. This is the story of how power turns friendships into a threat. Let me take you back, before the execution, before the paranoia. Ibrahim was maybe 12 when he arrived at the palace, captured and sold as a slave to the Ottoman court. Terrified, didn't speak the language. And then he meets Suleiman. Suleiman's a prince, 16, 17 years old, bored out of his mind with stuffy tutors and rehearsed conversations. Then, the slave kid shows up. Smart, quick, funny. They start studying together. Not because protocol demands it, because they actually like each other. You ever meet someone and just click? That's what happened. They studied philosophy, argued about poetry, stayed up late talking about what they'd do if they ruled the world. Fast forward to 1520. Suleiman's father dies. He becomes Sultan at 26. First thing he does, he finds Ibrahim. You're free and I'm making you Grand Vizier. People lost their minds. A former slave as the second most powerful man in the empire. Unthinkable. Suleiman didn't care. For 16 years, they were unstoppable. Ibrahim commanded armies, negotiated with kings, lived in a palace that made other officials jealous. But more than that, he was the one person Suleiman could talk to, really talk to. And that's what made him so dangerous. So what broke them? Here's the thing about being that close to absolute power. Everyone else notices, and everyone else starts scheming. Ibrahim had enemies everywhere, but the real threat, she was in Suleiman's bedroom. Hürrem Sultana, former concubine who became Suleiman's legal wife, which was unprecedented. She had sons. She wanted one of them to inherit the throne, and Ibrahim, he was back in a different prince. Now it's not about friendship anymore. It's about dynasties. Hürrem was smart. She didn't attack Ibrahim directly. She planted seeds. Ibrahim made that treaty without consulting you. Ibrahim's building alliances you don't know about. Ibrahim's becoming more popular than you. Were they true? Some of them probably. Ibrahim was powerful. He did make decisions on his own. But there's what changed. Suleiman started hearing these whispers differently. Not as complaints about a competent advisor, as evidence of a threat. You felt this, right? When doubt creeps into a friendship, that person you trusted completely, suddenly every conversation feels different. Now imagine that paranoia, but you have absolute power. And the worst part, Ibrahim had no idea. He thought their friendship protected him. It didn't. It made him the most vulnerable person in the empire. March 15, 1536. Ibrahim gets an invitation. Dinner at the palace of Sultan Suleiman. Nothing unusual. He arrives. They eat. Maybe they laugh, maybe it's tense. Afterward, Ibrahim goes to his chambers to sleep. And somewhere in that building, Suleiman gives the order, tonight. Try to imagine that moment. Suleiman sitting in his own chambers, knowing what's about to happen, knowing he can still stop it. He doesn't. Around midnight, assassins enter Ibrahim's room. He's asleep, probably dreaming. By the time he wakes up, it's already over. His body is removed before dawn. No ceremony, just gone. The next morning, Suleiman appoints a new grand vizier. No explanation, just moves on. But here's what destroys me about this. They were friends, real friends, and Suleiman couldn't even look him in the eye, couldn't give him a chance to defend himself, couldn't risk hearing Ibrahim say his name one more time. Because if he had, he might have changed his mind, and emperors can't afford to change their minds. So did it work? Did killing Ibrahim save Suleiman? He ruled for another 30 years, expanded the empire, won battles, but he never had another advisor like Ibrahim. Never let anyone that close again. There's a story that years later, Suleiman was reviewing documents late at night. Something reminded him of Ibrahim, and for just a moment he started to call for his best friend. Then remembered. The thing about killing your best friend, you don't just lose them. You lose the version of yourself that existed with them. The one who could trust someone. Suleiman won the power struggle, but he lost the only person who had ever seen him as just Suleiman. Not the Sultan, not the Magnificent. Just a kid who used to stay up late talking about poetry. And that version of him that died in Ibrahim's room too. Power doesn't just corrupt, it isolates you, makes you paranoid, turns the people you love into threats. Ibrahim's mistake? Thinking friendship was stronger than fear. Suleiman's mistake? Losing his best friend.